I've been listening to The Boy Who Played Harp, the album by Dave, since 4-year hiatus. I've been listening to it for the last hour or so, and I want to give you my opinions and my thoughts and the feelings about the album because I quite enjoyed it. I enjoyed it a lot more than I thought I would because it is a bit of a wordy one, right? It's not like he's not out here saying the least, he's out here saying the most. But I did actually enjoy this album, and for once actually during these album reviews I actually did jot down some ideas and some initial thoughts that I'm going to read for you here, courtesy of my little text edit pad. First off the bat, I've not been the biggest Dave fan over the years, I'm not going to lie. His style of rapping, that almost like spoken word type of thing, the poetry sort of vibe, the whatever, I'm not really a fan of it. I'm not gonna lie, I'm not the biggest fan of that. Whatever that style is, I'm not the biggest fan of it, because I hate spoken word stuff. Like what was that thing that Def Comedy Jam did, like where the black people America would get on stage and you'd be like, the fist in the air because I don't care, but you don't take me back because I'm not black, and I don't know all that revolutionary, like, count me out of it. All that blackity black shit, all that poetry shit, Def Jam comedy, I think it's called Def Comedy Jam or something. I hate all that shit. I fucking hate it. Most of those type of people that love that sort of stuff as well are people that I generally wouldn't get along with. They're the type of people who think fucking Kendrick Lamar Socrates or some shit. I fucking detest it. So Dave has that sort of style. Dave has that kind of style. But to be fair to him, he does have like grime underpinnings. He does come from a particular era of MCs where you kind of had to still spit. You might have your little quirky idiosyncrasies and shit, but you still had to fucking spit. So I think underneath all the fluff, underneath all the Kangol hats, underneath all the fucking finger clickings and shit, he still is a fucking sick rapper. So wasn't surprising that overall, rapping wise, I did enjoy it. There were some cringy moments here and there, but I think overall I did really enjoy it. So I wrote my initial thoughts here on my notepad. I'm going to read out to you, track by track, of what I thought of the particular album. So the track opens up with this track called History, track number 1. I didn't mind History. I thought the first half was decent, okay, but I thought the second half it kind of fell off, and there were some really cringy bars towards the end. Let's see if I can actually find them. There were some really cringy bars on the second half of History featuring James Blake, which I really did not like. Let's see if I can find those actually. Are they going to be available on here? I'm not sure what they were, but I remember there were some bars that I heard when I was listening to the first track. I was like, what the fuck is that? Let's go to the second verse. And when they talk on my name in this country, they're going to tell you that I'm already a legend. Streatham that I'm repping, clean stepping, bro. You need to forget it. Fuck eco-friendly, my car eco-aggressive. Like, come on. And my eco-aggressive, you better leave a message. Yeah, you've done it for a year, but it ain't impressive. I give a fuck about success if it ain't successive. That ain't history. City's gonna listen and repeat. Gone a couple summers, so they miss me on the beat. It don't matter if she pretty and petite. If she ain't B, she can't even kiss me on the cheek. But that obviously isn't true. That's what I think. That's why I was like, hold on, that's not true though. We've heard and seen that he's been linked to, a couple shorties who are not, let's say, melanated. I'm not sure why that's even a problem. I don't give a fuck about, I don't truly give a fuck who they fucks. Really do not care. But why would you say this? It's obviously a lie. Or are you saying it to kind of grab people's, because that could be the intention. It could be like a rage bait line. Let me say something that's demonstrably not true. Like, you know what I mean? And then to grab people's attention so they can kind of refocus on what I'm saying. I heard that, I was like, huh? That's not true though. Because if that's what, I'm sure when he said if she ain't B, or I don't know if he means beautiful or black, but I'm assuming he means black. Because it don't matter if she, because the bar before it says it don't matter if she's pretty and petite. If she ain't B, she can't even kiss me on the cheek. So I'm assuming he means black. But again, I don't think that's, but to be fair to him as well, there was a big not scandal, but there was a bit of controversy a couple of years ago when some girl that he was linked to was exposed to the blogs, I think I might have saw on the Shade Bar before I got fucking blocked from the Shade Bar. Down with Shade Bar, by the way, for blocking me for no reason. But hey, we digress, we move, we champion, we fast forward. I do remember that being a bit of an issue. People complaining in the comments that, I don't know what they expected him to, I don't know who they expect him to date and shit, but they weren't happy that the person that he was dating at that time was not black. And that was a big to do. So I wonder if that's what he's addressing. Either way, It's a lie, so it doesn't make any sense. Why put that there? It is what it is. It continues. It says, Mum said never build a house on sand, but I don't think I listened. Car, the villas by the beach. And it did. Why am I putting the pressure? Am I doing the impression of it now? I don't know. And I did it off of beats. Yeah, I just whip it and screech. Anytime you see my niggas in the streets. And in James Blake chorus, verse 3, my mum told me what my name really means, and the powers just kicked in. Honestly, man, like this whole like naming thing, like I don't want to get into it because people are going to start thinking I'm like, you know, anti and shit, but there is a certain segment of the black population and this fucking obsession with like names and their meanings and shit, like Sunday, victory, just like fuck off, bro. Just be a good person. Like, what is this? Are we children? Are we literally playing make believe? Is this is this a fancy dress party or something? Like, what the fuck is all this? Why is everyone so hung up on like what day they were born, what fucking season it was, like when, how, he, like, come on, bro. Like, honestly, there are people born in fucking crack dens who go on to fucking lead fucking multinational companies. It really truly doesn't matter how you grow up in your circumstances, to a certain extent, as long as you get out of it fully intact, right? Not incarcerated, all your limbs, your fucking mind is you're of sound mind. You can dictate your own path. Your name and all that stuff doesn't really, it's not I don't know, whatever. I'm not going to get into it because people are going to say I'm on some mad thing. Got me thinking back days when I was a victim in this thing, thinking I was keeping it balanced. I was even embarrassed selling CDs in Paris, but this gave me everything I need in a marriage. I can't speak sideways on grime, jungle or garage. I love that line, by the way, because those are the underpinnings of black UK music, I think, and just in general, those are the underpinnings. Everything that we're seeing now, all the success that people are having now, is because of those three genres. Without those three genres, we don't have what we have now. When I know that it's this reason we managed to make history, don't be a hero. I ain't looking to hurt anyone. I got a clean one, I got dirtier one. I never see a man late to his own funeral, but I done see a man show up early to one. I prefer the ones. That's a line. That's a bar, by the way. I've never seen a man late to his own funeral, but I done seen a man show up early to one. That's a bar, I'm not gonna lie. I prefer the ones that slim, but I don't mind me the curvy one. Yeah, I'm coming from the south of the river where the sky is black. If not for the history that we made, they wouldn't like rap. Niggas trying to water down our ting. It's time to fight back. For 70 hours I've been stepping on powers, and it's definitely ours. It's time. You mentioned my name, better know that you're playing with pepper. You borrowed a meal, I told him to pay me whenever. Woo-hoo-hoo. To be fair, I'd never like to be in that position. If you're my friend and I give you a meal, just know I don't want it back. No one needs to borrow £1 million. I mean, what the fuck does that mean? If I'm giving you $1 million, I'm giving it to you because you're my friend and I love you. Here, you're my friend. Hold this, enjoy. But I'm not expecting you to give it back, because that's definitely going to be a destroyer of friendships. Expecting someone to give you back $1 million. Like, how do they give it back in installments? Is it with interest in one go? Like, Jesus, I don't know. But big up the problems that I will never have. Not because I'll never get $1 million, but because, you know, I'm not going to give anybody $1 million. Let's continue. Niggas trail. I knew it was different from this moment that we came in. You can call me cause I'm verbatim. The woman with the Renaissance painting. I'm Michelangelo David. I'm Michelangelo's David. Sorry. And anytime you mention me in a statement, you better know that's it. So I didn't really like that second half, right, of that particular track. It wasn't really my favorite. I'm not going to particularly lie. But then we continue. Then it goes to track 175 months. I wrote here that I love the beat. It sounds a little like it sounds like something that you would hear from, have you heard something you could hear from Drake? Oh, from the early Drake. What's that Drake record? Oh, I don't forget the name of it. There we go. Comeback Season. So 175 months sounds like something you'd hear from Comeback Season. I think the whole actual album's giving me that kind of vibe, so I'm not going to lie. And that particular track as well, it kind of gave me, because I think there's a track on that 107 on Comeback Season from Drake where he's got a track that samples Licky Lee. And it kind of samples a lot of that kind of era of like indie dance music, whatever that genre was called back then. I think it's kind of given me a bit of that resonance. I also feel a little bit in terms of sonics and shit, if that makes any sense. This album kind of sounded a little bit a little bit like 808s and Heartbreak. There was something about it. I'm not sure if it was the warbling or the simpleness of the tracks. I think like even all the songs, I think were like, there wasn't that many layers, I don't think, on the tracks. Although it didn't sound like anyway when you listen to it. It kind of sounded like maybe 3 or 4 layers, 5 at most. Very stripped back, but you know, very punchy beats. So it kind of made me think of Drake comeback season, Kanye West, AOS and Heartbreak, and specifically on that Drake album, on that Drake mixtape, that song by Licky Lee. Number 3 track, No Weapons. I hate it immediately. It sounded like a gospel track, like some sort of song that you would hear from like a church rap group. Big up G-Force. It kind of sounded like that. It kind of like sounded like something you'd hear maybe at like a youth church sort of thing. It's the kind of thing maybe your parents will be happy to hear you playing in the house because it's talking about Jesus and God and shit, but it's about, you know, it's rapping in a contemporary way. I really did fucking hate it. And it's sad I hated it because I'm a big fan of Jim Legacy. I've been on his hype train. I've been, you know, a big fan of his since he kind of popped onto the scene for the most part. And although I didn't mind his appearance on here, I think the subject matter of the track itself and everything else about it, the chorus, no weapon form against, just too cringe for me. Not really for me at all. But one thing I did like about it was the bar that he's got where he talks about thirsting after the Claremont twins. I'm not gonna lie, I felt him immediately about that because there is something about the Claremont twins. I'm sure some of you guys out there know what I'm talking about. It's the same thing goes for like Justin Hernandez. Same thing goes for Tokyo Tony. There's a particular type of black woman that exists out there, especially in America, where you know you shouldn't, but you really can't help it. You know, Jocelyn Hernandez is one. The Claremont twins are another one. Tokyo Tony is another one. And there's maybe a couple more that I'm kind of forgetting off the top of my head. So it's kind of funny to hear Dave talk about the Claremont twins, because I was like, you know what? This guy knows ball. This guy knows ball if you're talking about the Claremont twins. So I think it's somewhere down here. Where's the bar? There you go. Yeah, here's the bar. And it goes, slow down, rude boy, you don't know me. Cut through Southwest on a low key. Cordons on my estate. We done carpool karaoke. That's quite a cool line, by the way, because I'm assuming he means James Corden lives in the area that he lives in. I'm in the middle of the party, but I don't dance in France. Yeah, I got a sexy one trying to flirt and distract me from my righteous path. I still want one of them Claremont twins. The allegations are dark. I like this bar. This is one of my favorite bars on this, I swear to God. But at least I know she gonna do me and my dog. Not really into the whole dog thing, I'm not gonna lie. Never been into that sort of stuff. Never actually got it. Don't understand it. The whole, like, you know, fucking Eiffel Tower high five thing that guys like. I'm not really into that. Especially a friend, like, it's a bit weird. You know, I don't want to see my friend's piece, I'm not gonna lie. Don't really want to see my friend's piece. Don't really want to see my friend, like, eyes roll back. Don't want to hear my friend grunting and moaning and shit. I don't want any of that shit. So I never understood it. I never got the whole, like, tag team, me and my boys do the thing together, and like, what? Like, I don't get it. I don't get it in the slightest. But I think it's there's a certain breed, a certain person that kind of is into that sort of stuff, but not for me. If I had the opportunity to one of the Claremont twins or both, it'd be me and me alone. It'd be me, some chemical enhancements. Some chemical enhancements and a hell lot of cardio. You get me? Ew. I know, ill. I know, ill. I know it's ill. I know it's ill. Please forgive me. Let's continue. And then the other thing I wanted to talk about here, so we talked about the Claremont twins track. Let's go to track number 4, chapter 16. I love this one. I think he should have put this at the intro. Yeah, this is the track with Kano, right? Kano and Dave. Oh my god. This is definitely the standout track. Maybe this or 27th birthday party. But I think this track with Kano is absolutely phenomenal. Them going back to back, bar for bar, like, oh my god. Oh my god. Phenomenal. You know what it made me think of? It immediately made me think of, it's such a shame that Kano didn't stay in Nasty Crew for long, because I think, if I remember correctly, Nasty Crew, by the way, my favorite grime collective or crew of all time. DWE is probably my favorite MC of all time too. That era of Nasty Crew where Kano was in it, Monkey, Footsie, Marcus Nasty, Hyper, Sharky, Stormzy, RIP, Nasty Jack, a bunch of them, right? But those and Ghetto before he was called Gets, before he changed his name to Gets. But there was a period where Kano was in fucking Nasty Crew. Kano, fucking for fuck's sake. So I remember that just being a phenomenal era. Listening to fucking them, you know, shut it down on the, I don't know, what is it? Was it Deja Vu FM maybe back in the day? That was maybe playing, that they used to jump on quite a bit, recording the sets on my tape, which I regret throwing away. I should have kept some of those tapes. I probably had some rare things down there, but I threw most of those away. And it also reminded me of listening or hearing Kano spit at some ADAS event I went to in Berlin many, many years ago. He absolutely killed it. And I think obviously back then too, grime wasn't as big as it maybe is now, maybe not what that well received, and the crowd didn't really know too much about him. And I was one of the only people sorry, I was one of the only people in the crowd that knew who he was, and I was literally spitting all these bars, bar for bar and shit. It was fucking hilarious. Little evening there, big up fucking Kano, but it was phenomenal track. Don't have more to say about it than about that. Kano fucking smashed it, gave me goosebumps. I willed it back. Did I will this back? No, I didn't will it back. I played it throughout the whole way through, but still, a phenomenal track. Then I'll say track number 5, Rain Dance featuring Thames. Thames is definitely the standout of this track. Another really good one. Definitely, if there's like a top 3, it'd probably go Thames is probably the track, or Thames' track is probably going to be in there. Rain Dance. It does feel like a rain dance, to be honest. You put that on and legitimately the fucking heavens will open. Thames' voice is fucking heavenly. I feel like Dave purposely pulled back a little bit. The lyrics are a little bit, I won't say dumbed down, but they're stripped back. They're a lot more simple. They're not as wordy as maybe his other records, I think. And he really let Thames breathe and do her thing. Thames really shines so well in this record. Thames, phenomenal record. One of the records I really would love to hear live. Like, she is, I don't know, it's otherworldly. It gives me goosebumps even just thinking about it now. Thames was fucking phenomenal. Really recommend you check it out. Really recommend check it out. That particular track, Rain Dance. Then there's another track called Selfish. This is where I replayed. Usually when I listen to albums, I'm a big believer in listening to an album all the way through with no fucking skips, all the way through with no pauses, all the way through with no replays. I'm a big believer in it. But there are some instances where you listen to an album for the first time and you're so compelled, a tune hits you so hard, you just have to you just have to rewind. You just have to pull it back. You just have to scrub backwards and start again. And I think for me personally, I was tempted to do it on fucking Rain Dance, but Selfish did it for me. Selfish spoke so much to me. I think I wrote it here on my notes. I felt heard and seen. I felt seen and heard in fucking 4K. What an amazing record. I can't imagine what that's going to sound like if it's played live. Just a piano playing in the background and Dave fucking doing his thing and people like me in the back in the crowds barring, you know, crying as we're fucking screaming the bars at the top of our lungs. James Blake on there. Woohoo! James Blake on Selfish. That's retrograde era James Blake, bro. That's a pre Jamila Jamil James Blake. He rolled it back, bro. He was phenomenal. James Blake on that track is really good. Really, I think throughout the album anyway, his little sprinkles are decent enough. But I think this particular record, Selfish, you get it's a nostalgia feeling. You really do feel like this is vintage James Blake. He's back to his fucking best. He spins on that record. But wow. This record's amazing because it made me reflect on a lot of things that I've done in my life, and it made me think to myself, you know what? Am I selfish? It made me think about that deeply. I think you should check it out. And another track that I also replayed about 6 or 7 times, 2 tracks back to back, was Selfish, and the second one was what? You guessed it, track number 7, My 27th Birthday. I avoided all the leaks online. I'm not going to lie. I avoided most of the spoilers, but I did see people online mentioning My 27th Birthday, and I know why they're talking about it so much online. Wow. But unfortunately, when I did hear it, this is a criticism because I'm going to get up to the good stuff. I'm going to glaze in a minute. But when I did get to this part of the album, it made me think, this album is not for the outside, innit? It's not for outdoors. This album's for like late night drives. I don't think you could play this at a barbecue. You could probably play this at church if you wanted to because it's quite emotional. You couldn't play it at any dances. Like there's probably one record on here you could play outside in a dance, maybe one tune, and that's maybe Marvelous, I think, if I'm not mistaken. But there's not a lot of like upbeat kind of like happy go lucky tunes. It's a very introspective, very deep, very emotional album overall. So that was the one thing I was like, I wish there was some balance, you know. I wish there was a switch where you kind of turned up a little bit, but this is Dave and it doesn't really turn up like that. But hey, my 27th birthday, I like this. I like his comment about bloggers not being needed. I agree, but if we're being honest, there's not a lot of people who actually talk about music. It's always about stats, and we have academics to blame for that. Yeah, he does mention on that particular record, there is a bar here where he talks about how he doesn't feel like commentators, people like myself and others, are not necessary in the industry, right? It should just be about what you feel about music and shit going forward. Let me see if I can find it on here and really butcher what he said on here. Was something about commentators, right? There we go. Here we go. So he says, we don't need commentators. We could leave that to the sports. Just listen to the music. Why do you need somebody's thoughts? And some of it is constructive, but most of it is forced. And why are we counting the numbers? How the music make you feel? I'm just being real. He's right, but I think he's also a bit wrong, because I think most people, with the exception of maybe a couple, most people out there that do like music reactions, or like, you know, talking heads who are, I don't know, people that, I don't know, tastemakers, whatever they people describe them as, influencers and shit. Most of these people focus on like the bigger acts, and they also focus on numbers. There's not really a lot of conversation around albums, about songs, structures, about good features, about lyricism, about breaking down the beats and shit, whatever, sequencing of the album, artwork, music videos. No one does that. Everyone just kind of talks about the surface level things anyway, for the most part. But I've never really been a big believer anyway of like, even if somebody does go deep into the music, as in taking their review as gospel, you should always listen to it to yourself. You should listen to it yourself and kind of glean your own opinion as to what you feel about the record. And in general, I'm a bigger believer, even if you're going to go listen to somebody, like to a Fantano, for instance, why not listen to an anti-Fantano after you've listened to the album yourself? Listen to the album yourself, maybe go to him for like taste, for like, because maybe there's just too many albums out there, and you might trust his overall taste because you think, oh, he's eclectic and he's into a lot of things I might be into. So maybe you could go for him for a reference and say, okay, cool, he listened to this album from this band, from this group, from this person. I'm going to listen to it myself, and then I'm going to play his review after, and then see where you guys kind of like, you know, agreed or disagreed. But I don't believe in the idea of like using him as your touch point, as your referral, and like whatever he says is gospel. That's really weird. I think people who do that are strange. The people who do that are the same type of people who post up on social media and say, hey guys, what should I pick? And they post up 2 pictures of t-shirts. Like, what do you guys think is the best one? It's like, why are you crowdsourcing your t-shirt choices? Like, just choose one. Trust your taste, trust your ability to fucking choose a fucking t-shirt and go from there. Don't ask other people what you should be wearing on your fucking body. Say something when it comes to music. Don't ask other people what you should be listening to. You should be maybe using it as maybe a reference to bounce off, or listening to it to yourself and then make your own decision. Not just agreeing because they said it's good that you agree is good as well. So I don't necessarily agree with that point of view, but I do like what he was saying overall when it comes to that. And then the other thing I really liked on this record was, I wheeled back a few times, and in terms of the bars, some of the bars that really stuck out to me on my 27th birthday, and lines, let's see, bars and lines, right? The line that I liked, I started off with, is, I can't lie, it even shocks me how I'm living now. I can't lie, it even shocks me how I'm living now. I thought that was a really great way to like humble brag and kind of talk your shit without talking your shit. I love that, bro. I love that line. I can't lie, it even shocks me how I'm living line. And it also kind of like is really cool because you don't necessarily get that, because I feel like, I don't know, maybe it's a bit of a it's a bit of an intrusive question to ask in an interview, but you don't really, and people, or maybe as well, I think as humans, once you go through like a really struggle period, you go through a hard time, if you come into good times, you don't really want to reminisce or talk about the hard times anymore. You just want to kind of forget about it. You want to press fucking control archive delete type thing. You know what I mean? You want to empty recycle bin on that shit. But it would be nice if some more people were able to kind of reflect and be like, "Rah, man, I remember there was a time where I was like struggling to have my balance above a certain number, and now I don't even need to worry about ever checking my balance, you know? Now, do you know what I mean? Like, whatever little thing that they kind of notice when they come into a bit of money, how it changes their behavior, how it changes their perspective, how it maybe alleviates stress, how maybe it, you know, changes how they kind of walk, move, sleep, whatever. I'd love to hear those type of little things. But that line itself, I think is very illuminating. So big up Dave for that one. Another line I liked for my 20th birthday was, I've got withdrawal symptoms, but it only happens at ATMs. Next 2 years, I'll be looking at ATMs. That is a bar. I'm not gonna lie, he fucking went crazy on that one. Another one I like, he says, never trust a girl who lock screens a picture of herself. I repeat that for the mandem at the back. Never trust a girl who lock screens a picture of herself. And I think he mentions, oh, trust me, I learned it the hard way. Like, I think he says it here. Let me see if I can find it somewhere. Bear with me. But I'm pretty sure he mentions that he had to go through that himself, and that's why he's there we go. Yeah, if my music just become a deception for my wealth, never trust a girl who lock screens a picture of herself. I had to learn that shit myself. Now I'm sitting here by myself with no girl. Like, shit, I really did this to myself, honestly. Honestly, this is a bar, absolute fucking bar. I fucking love it. This is something that I've always been keenly aware of. I'm not going to lie. I don't think I needed Dave to tell me this. I've always been somebody that's been sounding the alarm. Anyone knows me personally know. I've always been someone that's been very like put off by people, men or women, who have like an Instagram feed of just themselves. Every picture, every fucking rectangle, every fucking square is just them. Selfies. Like, even if it's a slideshow of other pictures, the first picture is just them. I think you are disturbed beyond disturbed, especially when you think about how Instagram first was launched, right? Behind, like, you know, the idea of like taking great pictures of your quote unquote life and what you get up to and shit. It wasn't always about fucking selfies. Obviously it's evolved and it's developed into another social media app. It's not the same thing what it was when it first started, but still, the notion that you just sit on that particular app and you just take pictures of yourself and upload your own profile and all you have on your feed is yourself is fucking insane. On the flip side, don't do what I do, when I have no pictures of myself whatsoever on my social media. You won't know what I look like unless you fucking click my link tree. But I do think people that do that are bizarre. And the same person that would have a feed full of selfies is probably the same person that has their wallpaper on their phone be a selfie of themselves too. That is fucking strange. I don't care what anyone tells me. It's as strange as somebody that has like a fucking portrait of themselves in their house. Like, you have a massive framed picture of yourself in your own crib that you took at some fucking photo studio somewhere. That's fucking bizarre. Unless it's a picture of you, you know, with your fucking degree. Unless it's a picture of you with some sort of certificate, you know, ceremony or some shit. A picture of you at your wedding. A picture of you at somebody else's wedding. Cool. But just a picture of you, just like sitting on a chair. Just a picture of you lying on a fucking O, an illuminated O or something like you got from fucking Facebook. Like, allow it. You are a weirdo. And it begs to, it probably goes without saying, the same person that does that, I think, is also the same person that records themselves crying. The same person that has a lock screen picture of themselves, wallpaper phone, you know, their phone wallpaper is a picture of themselves. It's probably the same person that puts their camera on selfie mode, flips the camera around, and then starts crying on command. You know, that's the same type of person. So definitely make sure you run a mile if you're a man them out there with those type of gal them. You get me? Another line that I really liked from him was, everybody's making content, but no one's content. Repeat that again. Everybody's making content, but no one's content. Love that. I don't want to leave my house. I'm stressed out. That spoke to me. Everyone knows I don't leave my house. That's fucking spoke to me. When I was getting stood up by artists I'm bigger than. That was a bar. Let me see if I can find that one. That really was like, hold on. Is that actually true? Did that actually happen? Let me see if I can find it, because that was actually illuminating, because it told me that things never change. No matter what level of artist that you are, you're still gonna get, you know, you're still gonna get fucking big time by some people. Doesn't matter who you are. So it goes, here's how the bar goes. It says, all I thought about was the song we could give the fans when I was out there getting stood up by artists I'm bigger than. I don't want no girls around when my nieces they visit, man. But imagine that. Imagine Dave being at a situation, Dave being a point in his career. If I understand that bar correctly or that line correctly, he was still getting stood up by artists. I guess because you went on like a 4-year hiatus, and maybe if you're an artist trying to, pop now, trying to be relevant now, you probably maybe think maybe a feature with him might not be as, prominent, or might not do something for you than somebody that's really kind of stepping and putting out singles and shit. It's kind of wild, isn't it, to think that even Dave is getting big time. Dave is getting fucking, done dirty by people because he's not, let's say, like super relevant, even though he's like a big act here in the UK. Because he hasn't been putting out music lately, people are like, you know what, you're not that relevant, you're not scorching hot, allow it. And then the last line also I wanted to mention here was this one: I want to be a good man, but I want to be myself too, and I don't think I can do both. I'm sorry, man, that spoke to me so freaking much. That spoke to me so freaking much. I was like, you know what? That's me. That is me. I want to be a good man, but I want to be myself too. And I don't think I can do both. So I can't let her too close. It hurts, but I'm still moving. Feel like it's me versus me, and I'm still losing. That spoke to me, man. That's my bar. That's my bar right there. That spoke to me right there. I want to be a good man, but I want to be myself too. I don't think I can do both. That's the fucking eternal struggle that a person like myself feels. I want to do good. I want to do right. But deep down, I'm a piece of shit scumbag. So what's the point, Honestly, I fucking enjoyed that. So big up fucking Dave for that particular record, which I played. I think that was a record time of wheel ups. My 27th birthday, I think I wheeled it up at least 27 times. Marvelous was really good. I mentioned it before. That was a more of an upbeat record. I wish there was more of that, maybe a couple more to kind of balance out the album, but it was a 10 album record. Really kind of like concise, not a lot of fluff in the record itself. Even if you don't like its emotional side of it, it's still, I don't think there was a lot of fluff. It didn't really get boring, to be honest. It couldn't, because it's only 10 records, but still he did a good job of holding your attention without kind of doing too much. But I did think there should have been a lot more like bits of like time for you to breathe a little bit, so you weren't so introspective, right? Because I feel like every record was an introspection. Every record was like a emotional personal inventory. You're going through your shit like I would have liked to have time to just kind of be like, okay, cool, can we just take a break? Can we like put on some can we put on some, what I mean, something a bit, we can just dance a little bit. So I think they did a good record with that. And then Fairchild, sorry, for me too much after what I just said there. It was a record, I think, talking about, if I'm not mistaken, it was kind of a perspective of a dude trying to understand how women feel uncomfortable with some men when they're being creepy and stuff. Like it's got a good premise around it, but I found it a little bit too much. There was a good there was a good line at towards the end where it said, someone just asked you on a date, it was your dentist, he just went downstairs and got your number from the reception. Like, it was like, ooh, I wonder how many women have gone through that particular scenario. Probably loads. But yeah, that was a really, I guess, good subject matter, but it's a bit too much for me. And then towards the end, the boy that cried wasn't the boy who played harp at the end. But at that time, I was kind of zoning out. It was too much emotions going on there. But overall, I did enjoy the album. I didn't really know what to expect before going into it, because like I said, I'm not the biggest Dave fan in the world, but I did think he did a really good job, very concise, through the point album. I thought the sequencing was fairly on point, with maybe the exception of the chapter 16. I probably would have started the whole track with chapter, so I'm not going to lie, I would have probably started with chapter 16 with Kano, and then kind of gone from there. Maybe just flipped it around, maybe just gone chapter 16 and then put history at number 4. You know what I mean? But regardless, I thought he did a decent enough job. It's probably not got that much replay value for me, I'm not going to lie. Maybe a couple of records I will play back, but the whole thing, not that much replay value. I would like to see it perform live. He has announced he's doing a live tour. I saw on his Instagram, he did say he's doing a live tour. So there's a tour planned for UK and Europe. He's touring UK and Europe. Let me just double check on here. As you can see the dates, this tour starts in Germany, starts in Munich on the 2nd of February. Then he goes to Paris, then Brussels, Dusseldorf, Amsterdam, Berlin, Copenhagen, Stockholm, Dublin, Glasgow, 2 dates in London, Birmingham and Manchester. So he's covering all the main places. I'm sure it's going to be a phenomenal thing to listen to or watch his show live. I'm sure there'll be a lot of guests popping up and shit. So I'm sure that will be great, and I'm sure there's going to be a lot put into the live show in terms of visuals and live bands and shit. I'm hoping that's the case anyway. I think that will be the case because he's usually not a shit artist in that regard. And he did put up something about thanking his fans too that I wish you want to check out too. It is something, yeah, there we go. He thanked his fans as well. He says, as I sit and meditate on this wonderful day, I'm here once again, grateful to all of my supporters. You have no idea how special you are as people this world and seen. The love is unbelievable. Like, seriously, I could not ask for a better people to make music for. You make life worth living, and we've grown together. When I was a little 16-year-old that trying to figure it out, I feel confident, I feel hopeful because of you guys. The way you treat the music gives me hope. It's pretty emotional, to be honest, but different conversation. Love it. You are my family. So that was a pretty touching and nice little thanks there to the fans who stood by him and waited for him to patiently put this album out. Everyone seems to be happy with it. He did write something as well about the third album. He says, my third album is here. After a few years of soul searching to arrive at this point, I want to say thank you to everyone who made this possible. My mum who raised me and gave me my name and destiny, my family and friends, the most talented musician that helped me bring this to life. I owe you a lot. To my supporters, I want to say over this time I have been away, you have generally saved my life, and I couldn't think of a better group of people to do this with. I cannot believe how you have supported me. I wake up and think about you and write and pray for you, and I speak life into your lives every day that I walk this earth. I hope this album and this story aligns with yours and resonates with you. Finally, I want to thank God, his love, his light, for taking a scared little boy trying to navigate the world and giving him a chance to help others, and for protecting us all. God's story and search for purpose has guided me, and I've grown so much over these years. Once again, my people, I've missed your faces, seeing you on tour and out in the world. I'm here to stay. Thank you for being a part of history. So yeah, really nice tribute there from him to the fans. You can't really be mad at that. I wonder if that's that Rachel girl's artwork there on the wall he spoke about. He spoke about some girl's artwork that he loves. Maybe it's on the wall in the house. But yeah, there he is there. Happy and glad and everything else. Those are the people featured on the album. James Blake, Jim Legacy, Kano, Thames, not too sure the guy in the hood is there. Maybe that's the director. Maybe that's Gabriel Moses. Here's some Daniel Arsham pieces with this vinyl. That's pretty sick. He's got some Daniel Arsham pieces here with the vinyl. Fucking amazing there. So yeah, cool. Great to see. So all in all, didn't mind it. Enjoyed the album. Won't probably have much replay factor for me, but in terms of offering something different than what we have out there in the scene, I think Dave did a really good job to do so. And I really cannot wait to see how it's performed live in a live arena. But definitely recommend you check it out. Dave the boy who played Harp, available now on all your digital streaming platforms. Available now on all your digital streaming platforms. Make sure you check it out. Make sure you check it out.